What's our Patreon name again?
It links to my Italian heritage.
Welcome to the DL Gaming Podcast. This week, we're going to be talking about Deadlock and Space Marine 2. But first, my name is Christian.
My name is Nick. What? we just talked about this.
We did, and you, Nick, came away with the wrong conclusion somehow, which is both surprising and frightening to me.
Dude, I'm so sleepy right now. I know it's the middle of the day, but I'm so sleepy right now. Let's try that again.
Oh, again? I'm Christian.
Yeah, let's do it again. All right.
I'm Snobbleblots.
Oh boy, it's just getting worse.
It's just getting so worse.
Okay,
By the way, this clusterfuck is brought to you by our Patreon. You can find it at dlgaming.net or patreon/dlgaming. You can sign up for all different kinds of things there for different tiers of rewards.
We actually have one tier of rewards.
We still only have one tier? What the fuck? I thought we had more.
Well, $5 a month gets you everything, but then if you sub for it at like 6 months in a row, you get the t-shirt kind of thing.
That's what it is. I remember. I thought you just had to. Okay, yeah. So you can get a t-shirt if you sub for some certain amount of months. You said 6 months, I believe. But yeah, you can support the show that way. That ends up actually paying for things like the DLG con, as well as other things like us going to cons and interviewing people, which is something that we're going to start doing from now on, or try to do at least. But yeah, just go to patreon.com/dlgaming or dlgaming.net and then click the Patreon link there.
Yeah. That's actually a good segue. I have something on ping things that's not that interesting, so I'm going to replace it. On this show, we quickly pick things at the start, and Amanda, our good friend, was at PAX West, and she had a great time. She posted some pictures in Discord that I'm going to get over social, so if you're on the Discord, just follow us and check us out there. But she ran into all sorts of cool things. She regaled us with her experience at PAX, and, you know, she kind of came away, in my opinion, invigorated, and that's the same thing that happened to me when I went to PAX for the first time. I was like, oh, goddamn, the gaming industry, actually, spoiler alert, pretty cool when you go there in person and you see all the developers and like all the effort that goes into making games, and like those people are in front of you. They're not just like a store page on Steam. It's quite impactful. So anyways, Amanda ran into a couple of developers there from a game she really liked, and we're setting up an interview with them. So I think developer interviews are coming back. You can expect them, I don't know, sometime this month, hopefully. And they'll be coming out on Tuesday, because along with this interview, I've also reached out to a bunch of other people starting to schedule some hopeful, cool conversations, some behind the scenes of the games you guys like and we like too. So yeah, that's coming down the pipe. What do you got to ping this week, Bobby?
So did you know that Steam's software to record your gameplay actually puts the achievement in the timeline? I didn't realize this. So a few weeks ago, maybe longer, you said Steam's got this built-in software. It's part of their beta. You got to opt into it, but they've got this built-in screen recording software for games, which I thought is great because I've been having a hell of a time with NVIDIA's version. What is it? Shadowplay?
Yeah.
Yeah, Shadowplay has just not been working out for me. It does not like Deep Rock Galactic for some reason. Just refuses to record any footage there. 90%
Bobby,
of the
Shadowplay
time.
fucked us both. Shadowplay fucked us. We can say
Dude,
it.
Shadowplay. I don't know what it is, but Shadowplay for the last, I don't know, 2 months has been complete dog shit for me. It just turns off randomly. It'll only record like 20 seconds when I've set it to 5 minutes. I'm like, dude, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, and I don't like their UI either. Like the whole thing about it just is very off-putting to me. But the Steam one is actually really good. So I opted into the beta when you mentioned that. I started testing it out, and it works really well. The only thing they don't have that I wish they'd put in it is like, give me the last 3 minutes of gameplay. Like, give me that just in a clip. The way it works is it just constantly records to whatever setting you set. So I have mine set at half an hour. So the last half hour of my gameplay is just recorded and there for me to use it at any time for any given game. But what I noticed while I was playing Deep Rock Galactic Survivor, when I went back to look at the footage, I noticed there were little icons in the timeline, and I'm like, what are those? And I looked in closer, and I realized they were the achievements that I was getting. So it marks the achievements in case you want to go back and clip those, which I thought was a really cool feature. Yeah,
that's pretty rad.
I think whenever they fully release this, it's going to be very popular. It's better than any alternative I've seen out there. And nobody wants to just run OBS the whole time while they're playing a game. Like, you just want that to happen in the background. Now, I only have mine set to half an hour, which seems kind of short. The default setting was a lot longer than that. And I'm not so much worried about the space, but just that constant writing on my hard drive, I'm not super thrilled about. So I don't know. I may play with that setting.
Yeah, I think I have it set to hotkey, which I found super, it's just like Shadow Play or whatever. And that lets me go through like all these tiny clips, and I can just, naming convention is all right there at my fingertips. And yeah, it's like Steam is doing the Steam thing where they like are including a lot of other things around Steam that make it like, a storefront that you still want to spend your like money and time on, as opposed to like the UB Play or whatever doesn't come with, it doesn't have a Steam workshop. It doesn't have like this Steam review system in the same way. So yeah, cool. Nick, pinging?
Yeah, so I ended up going on vacation. That's why I wasn't here this last week. I got a new phone, so I did a lot of mobile gaming. And the reason I got a new phone is because my charging port, my other phone, just broke. And I didn't want to deal with having to repair a 4-year-old phone. Got an iPhone 15 with this weird thing where I can just upgrade next month, essentially. And, dude, like, I didn't think mobile gaming actually relied that much on your phone. But having a phone that's 4 years newer is just way fucking nicer. Everything runs super smooth. My phone doesn't overheat. My battery doesn't get annihilated. It's just really nice. So for anyone who is super into mobile gaming, you're probably already keeping up with phones and keeping up with new phones, but don't be afraid to upgrade sometimes and look at different plans.
I'm on a Pixel 4a, which
Jesus.
is a million pixels ago, I think. I don't know. Maybe we're at 8 or 7. Or, I don't know.
We're at
I'm
9,
not a tech
dude.
guy.
That's 5 years ago.
That's crazy. Okay. And so everything, obliterates my phone. It just randomly shuts off now. It's like planned obsolescence from like 2 years ago for sure. It's time to upgrade. A couple weeks ago, Bobby mentioned that games do this thing where after a certain amount of numbers in the title, they'll restart and they'll be like, actually, it's just Space Marine 1 now. Actually, it's just Final Fantasy. When do you think phones, like, is there going to be an iPhone 500? Like, when is the restart?
Didn't they say that they wanted it? That's why they named it X for this iPhone X. Like, even though it was the 10th one, they wanted to fix the naming so that it would just be like, instead of being like iPhone 25, it'd be like X1 and then X2 and all that stuff.
Oh, got it. Okay. Clever.
Yeah.
Someone got paid too much to put the X there. Okay.
But they don't do that now. It's still iPhone 16 coming out next month.
Oh, okay. Weird. Okay. Highlights. So these are games we have been playing, and as previously mentioned, Deadlock. We got some multiplayer time down, Bobby. I spoiled the name of the game before you could introduce it. Sorry, but what's up? What's been happening with Deadlock?
Oh boy. So this turned out to be better than we all thought it would be, I think. I don't know. When we first heard that Valve was making an FPS MOBA, I think we all kind of turned up our noses at it like, oh, they're a little late to the game here. I mean, honestly, At first I thought it was going to be more of an Overwatch type game or a clone of some sort of ability shooter. And it's kind of like that, but it is definitely 100% a MOBA. Very similar, I guess, to Paragon or Predecessor, which is a first-person shooter, or actually third-person shooter MOBA. And it's in like a beta stage right now, so I don't know how much of this is going to carry over when the game is actually released. But it's got sort of a minimalistic visual design. It reminds me a little bit of Team Fortress 2's PvE mode, the way that they display all the items in the shop and everything. But it's a MOBA, so it comes with all the bad things of a MOBA. It is a very, I don't know if I should say steep learning curve, but it's a very kind of an unforgiving environment. Not super great for new players. And of course, it's very competitive, and you always feel like everything is someone else's fault. So MOBAs they foster toxicity. I don't think there's any way around that. The matches can snowball one way or the other. When you die, especially late game, you're put on a timeout. Like the game just says, shame on you, you don't get to play for a little while, which is like, I hate when games do that. Like that's how games have always handled things like that risk reward punishment thing, but it just seems like super archaic in modern gaming. And it's got all chat enabled, which I guess they brought.
That's a rarity.
Yeah, and I got to double check on that, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. I saw that when I was going through the tutorials, and I'm not surprised because I think they did that in Dota too, and I think that's always been kind of a Valve thing, just leave all chat. But I'm just like, oh man, that's just that's one thing I liked about Heroes of the Storm when they came out with their MOBA, or Blizzard came out with that MOBA. They didn't have all chat, and I was like, that's just going to cut down on so much needless toxicity right there. But I've got a ton to say about this game. That was just a little sample. What was your guys' takeaway, or what stood out to you?
So I really enjoyed Paragon, and I've played at least a couple of the Paragon clones that have been reusing the same assets with the same sort of idea, this FPS MOBA fusion. So this game enticed me, but like, it's like you mentioned, all the UI elements on screen are a bit distracting or overwhelming. And it's like, yeah, because the game itself is fucking this isn't your dad's MOBA. This isn't your legal, like, it's a combination of all your FPS mechanics with all your MOBA mechanics. So you have like FPS mechanics like headshots, slides, stamina, just the skill of shooting your gun. But then you also have like dodge jumps, air dashes, you have double jumps, you have wall bounces, people are fucking flying. I'm like, what is going on? Like, it's complicated. A MOBA, you have this top-down view, and even that is complicated with watching the map, make sure you're not, being turned on or rotated on, that you're out of position. And this just amplifies it so much because you're dealing with all these planes of existence, of 3D space. But then you also have all the MOBA mechanics. So you have like item buying and lane rotations, farming in your jungle. And then you have these orb securement and denial. So you can deny XP. If you shoot the orb above the enemy's heads as they die, you deny your opponent from getting that XP. And they can do the same for you. And at 10 minutes, you stop getting XP completely. Like, the game kind of changes. You have to shoot the orbs to get the XP from the minions, and that XP is split by everyone in the lane instead of just going to you. So it changes. The game changes at 10 minutes. The jungle things come out, the big boss arrives. I don't know what else happens, but the game is complicated, and I don't know if at this stage in my life, Bobby and Nick, that I want to like dedicate all this time to playing Deadlock, because I would love another MOBA, but I think what I'm looking for is just something a little bit more casual, like Heroes of the Storm, where like it's complicated and there's a lot of depth to the game, but like it's relatively easy to understand and get into.
Yeah, they streamline it. They really streamlined everything in HOTS, which is why I felt it was a great game. But nobody else thought so. They thought, no, I want spreadsheets of information.
If you're designing a game for financial profits, don't invite Bobby, because he's gonna tell you shit. Yeah, that's gonna make your game.
Yeah, implode. I mean, Dota had a confusing UI. I felt like there was just so many things, and League too as well. But yeah, and this game Deadlock is no different. It gives you a lot of information, which largely goes ignored if you're a new player. And you probably don't need, because you could just play it like a first-person shooter. One thing that's always, I like this game, and it's going to sound like I don't, because I'm going to be saying a lot of bad things about it, but the bad things I'm saying are about MOBAs, because I think they're very addictive and very fun, but I think they are not very well, just like fundamentally flawed in a lot of ways. So you mentioned the orb stealing. I like that they put that in there. So when you kill lane minions, they pop up these little orbs. If you shoot them, then you secure that XP. If your enemy shoots them, they get that XP. So you can shoot them before to prevent them from getting that, which is fine. But I feel like what happens with MOBAs is they send you out into these lanes, against another enemy, and your natural inclination is to fight them like a PvP, but the game says, no, you need to focus on the lanes. That's always the important thing to do. And it's just like this. It's always difficult for new players or young players because they're just like, video game, go fight the, PvP, fight the other player. It's just a natural instinct. And this game is like, nope, don't do the fun thing. Do the boring thing. Like, kill these minions and then shoot the little orbs that pop up. And,
before your enemy does. Yeah.
And that's really like, that's what I figured out. I watched a YouTube video where someone just like broke it down in 15 minutes. Like, here's all the important things. And one of the things they said was like, you really just got to focus on the lane early game and secure those. And I noticed nobody else was doing that. And I would dominate in lane because this idiot would just be trying to kill me, and I'd be killing the minions, and then I'd be getting XP from the minions that he killed, and like I just eventually would get an XP advantage by playing the really boring way. So I don't know. I just feel like it's flawed. What I do like about this game. Oh, go ahead, Nick.
Do you think that it would be more fun if you were both doing the boring thing? Like there'd be like a kind of a competition of who could shoot the orbs first and shit, or no?
Yeah, and that's how you're supposed to play. And no, I don't think that's super exciting either. I just want to run. If I'm playing a first-person shooter, I just want to shoot people, dude. Like I just
yeah, of course.
Don't make this whole roundabout way. Like I don't want to shoot people 15 minutes later after I farmed minions. I want to shoot them now in the face. But what I do like about this game is the characters. So the characters are all these like 50s comic book characters. It's very League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. It's like this guy, like Freeze guy or what's like, it's all they've got these kind of old fashioned looks. There's like, Mr. Enigma or something. He's got this weird head or something, and Lady Geist. I don't know. I think I'm getting the names wrong, but I do like the character design and like the overall direction they went with, like the style of the game and the setting of it. I think that was very cool.
That is cool, dude. And I have a little note about the lore here. There's a green character. I haven't played him yet because I think he's one of the complicated ones, but he's like Flubber. And and I had him on my team once, and I kept being turned into a cube of jelly, and I took like way less damage when I was the cube of jelly, probably because I was the worst player, always dying. He was like, this guy needs to be the cube of jelly the most out of all of us. And that implies that Flubber is canon in this universe, by the way, which I think is exciting. Yeah. Also, the city you fight in has lots of basements and like subway tunnels, which means that Deadlock has a lot of public transit, and so it's a very forward-thinking society. And also, that's kind of a joke, but how you get in the lanes and how you zip into the lanes, I think, is super cool. I know you have a note that like it kind of eliminates the time you would normally spend just walking or like mounting up on a horse. And
that's a big problem with MOBAs. Like that's again, one of the fundamental issues I have with MOBAs is like, hey, every time I die, I'm put on timeout. Then I got to spend like another 30 seconds, which in a video game is a long time. Maybe it's not 30 seconds, but you have to spend a long time running back to a lane. And like, then I got to run over to another lane. This game, so Heroes of the Storm solved that by, hey, let's give everyone a mount. So when you're out of combat, you can mount up, you get like double movement speed or something, and you can get places quicker. Plus the maps are really small, so there's more action. It worked really well for that. But the way that Deadlock does it is they give you these zip lines, and you can hop from one to the other too, but they just like zip you straight to where you need to go. Not only you, but the minions themselves. So another strategy in MOBAs
that's crazy.
To cut off the minions as they were coming down the lane. You can't really do that, at least not as well. I think you can shoot them while they're on the zip line, but it's very difficult. They're high up, they're moving very fast. So you can't really like cut off the minion flow in a lane too to reduce lane pressure. But you also get an ability like every couple of minutes where you can like super zip line where it makes you move extra fast. So I think they really helped solve that issue of just like that downtime, that lull that happens in every MOBA where you just got to run back to lane because that's like the least exciting thing to do in a game. Yeah. And it makes you super impatient. And then when you get there, you're like all amped up because you've been waiting so long, and then you do something stupid and then you die and you're like, oh crap. And now I got to sit around and wait again. I got to do that all over. Yeah. It's such an annoying loop in MOBAs.
So I'm trying to play one character and get the hang of them before I move on. And I'm playing the sniper, the blue sniper girl, whose name I should probably know by now, but I don't. And she has an ability, her ultimate is like a sniper shot. And I realized that I could pretty often shoot people off the zip line. And if you wait till after they're going really fast, they spend their speed from the base, so they can't use it for like 240 more seconds. And if you shoot them and do enough damage, they drop off the zip line and fall in their lane. I have a fly ability, so I just fly away pretty reliably, get out of there, and I'm denying them into the combat, and then I join like the team fight or whatever is going on. So I think the zip lines, yes, they solve a MOBA problem, but also there's some like play around hitting people off of them too that I think is exciting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think for the most part, it's I like that. I like the zip lines and what they've done with it. Now, speaking on MOBAs in general, so I was thinking about this the other day. I haven't played a MOBA in forever until I played this one, so it brought back some memories and some thoughts. And like you said, like, I'm not going to get super into this game. I had a good time and I got kind of addicted and I wanted to play another round or like stay up late and play this. But I'm like, what am I doing here, dude? Like, I know this is going nowhere because you know how much time you have to invest. And I really thought about MOBAs and just highly competitive games in general. And this is not like doctrine or anything, but this is kind of like a real simple way of explaining my thoughts here. I feel like there's two different phases to these games, a learning phase and a mastery phase. So the learning phase is what we're in right now. It's fun and exciting. We're realizing the things that we can do that are effective. We're putting that into the game and we're having a good time because of it, because we're experiencing that growth. Not only that, but we're going in expecting to lose. Like when we win, we're like, oh, awesome, I won, you know, like, that's the reward that I'm reaping. But that only lasts a certain amount of time. Eventually you hit that mastery phase where it's like, I'm going into every game expecting to win. And then when I lose, I feel really shitty about it. You know, I know how the game's played. It's just a matter of like, how well am I going to execute? You know, maybe I'm learning a few new things here and there, but for the most part, like I know the game front and back, the characters, their abilities, like all that stuff. And it's just like the grind now. And that's when it doesn't become fun. So I don't know. Do
you know you're on basically fire right now? Like your brain is so big and meta that you just explained something that I've felt many times while trying different MOBAs or just other games in general that I've never really been able to articulate like that. Like totally, dude. I have the rose tinted glasses on. I'm in the fuck around phase. And when the find out phase comes, it's kind of demoralizing, you know, because
there's a tipping
point.
I remember hitting that tipping point in League of Legends. Like I specifically remember the match where that happened. And I was just like, and a lot of times it happens and then we don't realize it happens. And we're like, why am I so angry all the time while playing this game? When did that happen?
When did this game stop being fun and more like work? Yeah. What do you call it? What's funny is that feeling is actually going on a lot right now with games like Call of Duty and a couple of other shooters with skill-based matchmaking. Some companies are turning it off temporarily and and putting it back on. And people are seeing that the fact that like skill-based even though people complain about it, they're like, oh, skill-based matchmaking doesn't do anything, blah 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 blah, and then they turn it off and they get absolutely annihilated by players that are like way better than them. Or on the flip side, they do really, really, really well. And for those who don't know what skill-based matchmaking is, it's like this hidden service essentially that's in a lot of games like Call of Duty and things like that. Like even if you don't play ranked, what it is you'll be put in a lobby with people who have the same statistics or near the same statistics as you, so that you kind of have like everybody gets to kind of have the same amount of fun.
Yeah, it's like a hidden elo that you have.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you know what I read or I heard somewhere is that when you start Deadlock, it automatically puts you on one of those zip lines and you're zipping out to lane right away. And it sorts people on those zip lines against other people on the team who have a similar elo. So not only is the matchmaking pairing you up with teams that are evenly balanced, it's putting you in lanes automatically with people that it thinks you are evenly matched with, which I don't know. I thought if that's true, that's pretty interesting. By your general lack of talking in this segment, Nick, I'm guessing you didn't play Deadlock?
I was not able to play Deadlock. I committed the ultimate sin and decided to play the Warhammer game that came out on Tuesday. And yeah, if we want to stop talking about Deadlock, we definitely can. However,
before we go over, there was some interesting bit of lore that you dropped about your history with MOBAs that I think you should share. You were going pro with League? What's happening, Nick?
No, I didn't go pro. I almost got into essentially like the junior leagues at one point. No, me and my friends, we used to play League a lot, like to the point where it was 11, 12, 13, sometimes even 15 matches a night. And a match can be anywhere between 15 minutes to an hour. And so we played so much and we got so high at one point that we started facing teams that had professional players on them. And it wasn't like the professional teams because they kind of got like shitted on for doing that. Like joining the ranked teams and online and things like that. So you would play solo and like a professional player would actually be with their friends or like maybe one other professional player and some of their friends. And you would play against them. And one thing that I think, like, what's interesting about, like, with the zipline thing that you were saying, Bobby, where it kind of matches you against somebody with a similar skill, is that one thing about, like, in League of Legends is essentially your performance in your lane does dictate that lane. However, if you get absolutely shit on, but your bottom lane and your mid lane's doing well, they can still carry the game. What I'm wondering about like this like evenly matched matchmaking is that I'm wondering how often the game will swing in one direction based off of, you know, one lane doing well versus the others.
Well, I don't think the characters are that different. So it's not like there's a mid and there's a top and a bot and a carry and a jungler. Like it's not. Everybody's kind of a little more. They have very different play styles, but they're on the same playing field. Like anybody can really pop off. So it's not like in League where like your whole team's like, we need to get this dude fed and then he's just going to dominate the match and win it for us basically. But I don't know. I haven't spent enough time in this game to really know if that's accurate, but to me it seems a little more like evened out, I guess, with the players.
Was it open beta or open alpha? Did we have codes?
It's this weird. Yeah, you get an invite, but it can be from anyone. So I went on a quest in the Steam discussion hub of Deadlock asking for keys, and people were, or not keys, but invites. Please. Yeah, they were like, send me a friend request and I'll invite you because you can invite any of your friends. And lots of people were doing that. There's like a thread every minute, a new thread. And then I realized I already had an invite from like 3 weeks ago from one of my real life friends, the person who I got on Deep Rock Galactic Survivor. Right after we hung out that weekend, he sent me a Deadlock invite and it was just sitting there in my notifications way down, and I didn't even realize that I had it. So yeah, it's this weird thing where you can only invite your friends, but then like everyone, it's still pretty accessible, right? As long as you go to the Steam discussion group and say, hey, add me as a friend.
Yeah, if you go to the store page for Deadlock and you go to the discussion group, there's posts on there where people are like, who needs a key? So it's not really hard to get one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm wondering, yeah, go ahead.
I'm interested in your history with League of Legends and when you turned the dial of, you know, I don't really want to play like this anymore, like this game, because you must have reached that point.
I'll tell you exactly the fucking night.
Yeah.
So at one point we were playing, and me and my friends, most of us worked at Best Buy, right? And so we would work during the day, and we would definitely have nights off, or we would start work at like 11 o'clock so we could play all night, right? And the interesting thing is that one day I was playing solo, and I got really high in Diamond, which is like the second to last rank at the time, because I played in Season 2 and Season 1 and Season 3. And what ended up happening is that there was a system where you couldn't fall down to a lower rank unless you lost a certain amount of games. But the other thing is that when you won, you'd be given ELO points, and once you reached 100, you could get qualifying matches and then proceed to the next rank, right? Well, let me tell you what the fuck happened. There was a way to forego those qualifying matches is if you won more than 3 games in a row before those qualifying matches. So if you got like 90 points and you've already had 3 wins before this and you win one more and you get another 10 points, you would then automatically advance to the next league. Anyways, I was in Diamond, I was advancing through everything, and eventually I got to like 90 points, right? I won one, got to 99 points. I was like, oh, that's a kick to the dick, because usually I'm getting like 10 to 30. Then I win one more and I get 0 points. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this can't be possible. And I look it up. It turns out other people are getting the same thing. It's a way to bottleneck the ranking so that like people aren't just flooding with certain rankings and things like that. And I'm like, well, that's stupid. Anyways, my dumbass decides to go, you know, I'll play one more. And then I start drinking. And I drink and I play and I drink and I play and I lose and I lose and I lose and I lose. And I ended up losing 9 games in a row. And because the same mechanic that lets you advance and go further and skip those qualifying matches, if you do it enough times negatively, you will go through that threshold of not being able to drop through a rank. And I ended up going back into platinum, and I was like, I'm done. I'm just done playing League of Legends at this level.
It was a ranking thing. Yeah, okay. Okay, last thing before we all move on, just say your highest rank you've ever achieved in a MOBA. And whatever it was. So, Bobby, what's the highest rank you've gotten?
Yeah, I was pretty consistent in Masters and in Heroes of the Storm, but I don't know if that's really saying much. There's not a lot of competition there. Like Masters and HOTS is not equivalent to Masters and other MOBAs.
Got it. Nick, highest?
I got Diamond in League of Legends. Diamond 1.
Okay. Mine... Gold 4, baby. Heroes of the Storm. Because they had the numbers, right? So, like Gold 5.
Oh, that's
Gold
right. 4. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I was very proud of that. That was a great day for me. Only 98% of my games or something with a new Barak. So, didn't know much about the rest of the game, but I sure knew how to tunnel and kill myself in a team fight. Okay, Nick, it's time for you to talk about what we've all been waiting for, Warhammer. Warhammer shit.
First of all, before I even start this, I want to say that a lot of people in our community are actually fucking playing this game, and they're messaging me about it, and I'm like, welcome to the team, brother. Like,
it's the top selling game on Steam right now.
Oh, cool.
Yes, this is the talk of the town at the moment. A lot of streamers have been playing it. This is Space Marine 2. Boy, howdy. I'm going to read 2 reviews before I even start talking about this. One from our own community, and it tells me that because when I log in and check the reviews, it's like most liked by your friends and recommended by friends. Captain Gummy, who I did speak to, said, most detailed game I have ever played. And I can definitely say that's true. Without a doubt, it is one of the most detailed games I have ever played.
Like visually
detailed,
breathtaking. Oh, okay,
yeah. So I love the Warhammer universe. What's interesting about this is that the game does take a twist towards the end. I know this already because I'm part of a certain subreddit about a certain faction, and that got spoiled that we were in the game, and then it happens later, and I'm just blah 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 blah.
You can't get. You're smiling. You're speaking through a smile, dude.
Anyways, so what this game is a I don't want to say a hero fighter, but essentially you play a main character named Titus, who's been demoted from captain to lieutenant, and in the Space Marines, that's a pretty big kick to the dick. The way the tutorial opens up and everything, I'm not going to spoil anything, but it's a very, very, very good tutorial. I came upstairs after watching some TV downstairs, and my wife was playing. I'm like, hey, let me know when you're done with the tutorial so we can play together, because she's super hyped about this game as well. And I am hearing the most furious fucking clicking and clacking and clicking on a mouse on a laptop I've ever heard. And she's like, I'm like, whoa, like, what is going on? And she's like, this is the funnest game I've ever played. And I'm like, what?
Cool.
And I'm like, you're just saying that because I'm your husband and I love Warhammer. And she's, I thought she was sweating at one point. It might have just been the lighting. But no. The way that the combat works, right, is it ebb and flows between being active and inactive, right? You fight a bunch of enemies and there's like a lull where you get more shit and then you fight a little bit more enemies. But the way you fight enemies in this game is very different than most games, right? They kept a lot of things from the first game, and then they combined it with World War Z. So the swarm system is something that World War Z came out with when their game came out. It was a sleeper game. A lot of people liked it. Probably one of the best zombie shooters from what I understand. And on screen you would see thousands of zombies, and I mean thousands, and you're like, oh, those are just background enemies, because like when you play other games you'll see like a swarm of bugs in the background, and like you might get attacked by like one or two, and then you go to the next safe zone.
Yeah.
Not in this fucking game, and not in World War Z. Though all those enemies are fucking real, and
they're coming for you.
They're coming for you.
Nice.
Yeah. What ends up happening in the tutorial, there's a moment where you're like defending an area by yourself, and you just see swarms and swarms and swarms of enemies. You're fighting these things called Tyranids, which are giant space bugs that are the perfect, with air quotations there for the listeners, beings. They can eat things and adapt their genealogy to fight things better. However, you're fighting them as a 9-foot tall superhuman that wears a suit that lets them pick up 900 pounds with ease. Anyways, what ends up happening is these things start flowing down, and I'm like, oh, these are just like display enemies. I'm just going to shoot them and they're not going to affect me. And so I didn't shoot them, and I died in the tutorial. And then I tried my hardest, and I still died in the tutorial because I'm playing on the hardest. I'm playing on the hardest difficulty. And the way combat works is like you have little guys, big guys, really big guys, medium guys, and all these other things, and they all have interactions that you can do the same with, or you can tackle them on by themselves, right? Primarily in this game, you're using a chain sword, which is just a sword that just goes ring, and then usually a pistol. In the pistol, you're supposed to like shoot and stun enemies while you swipe at them, and you can counter enemies and you can parry enemies, and there's like prompts when they're going to attack you, and then there's prompts for unavoidable attacks unparryable attacks where you're supposed to dodge, and if you dodge at the right time you can shoot them with the pistol in a weak spot. But the other thing is you can also just play the game like Gears of War, where you just fucking have a huge gun and just starts firing at everything and annihilating everything. I'm not at the point in the game so far where you can play the game. It was just Space Marine 2. I just wanted to reiterate that because I'm going on a rant at this point. Space Marine 2 allows you to like essentially, it has 3 main game modes: story, PvE, co-op, which the main story is also co-op as well. And it's like over 40 hours or 50 hours or something like that. Like it's a pretty long.
Wow, that's cool.
It's a really, really, really long. There's 3 planets, and apparently it's taking up some people up to 18 hours to complete the first planet alone. But anyways, you can really, really sink a lot of time just in the PvE aspect of the game. I've been playing a lot of the PvP aspect because Leslie will not let me play with anybody else or by myself. And I'm like, all right, whatever. And so we play on her save because it's on normal and she doesn't, all this other stuff. So it's still a fun game even on normal. I still die. So does she. A couple of last things I want to touch up on because I'll go on. I can talk about this shit all fucking day, dude. I wanted to read one more quote before one more review before I ended up going on further. This is by Justice the Ninja. It's the most liked review and most helpful review left on the game. Finally, a solid game with solid gameplay, various modes, and various customization options without all the crappy microtransactions. This is my first Warhammer 40k game, and I have no idea what the fuck's going on lore-wise. Lol. But I'm happy to be part of the community now. And
wholesome.
Very wholesome. If you can just not give a fuck about the lore about this game, and it's just at its bare bones a fun game.
Is there no microtransactions, Nicholas?
There's no microtransactions. There is a quote unquote what is it called? Battle Pass coming up, but it doesn't do anything besides cosmetics. And in the Warhammer universe, it's essentially just painting your models a different color. That's all it is. And like having different armor that doesn't do anything else. Last thing I want to talk about is kind of PvP and PvE. So 1/3 of the game you're playing as these set characters. One has like an explosion ability. When they roar, like all the enemies fall back behind them. Another one lets them heal when they attack melee wise. And then the last one has like a targeting computer where you throw it and it's like a grenade and then it targets everything in an area, and then all your shots do more damage and kind of hone in that area and mark enemies that are important. But in the PvE game mode, which is completely separate from the story, where you can do these missions that are unique that are not in the story, and they're also really long. Apparently, they're like 2-3 hours long each, and there's like 6 of them. And then also they can be randomized. They can be different things that happen during these missions. And there's 6 classes. There's a guy who's kind of like your all-around kind of guy. Like he can use like 6 different guns, 7 different guns, from like a plasma gun to like a short SMG to all kinds of shit, right? There's another guy. He's really interesting. He has a grappling hook, and he uses a pistol and a chainsword. And it's really good about getting on top of enemies. And then in PvP, you can shoot people with it and stun them and then beat the shit out of them. Or you can like shoot the wall and pull yourself closer and a bunch of other stuff. There is a class where you have a jetpack. I personally think it's the most broken class in the game. However, I've learned to fight them, and the way that the PvP maps work, there are maps that are not conducive to certain classes. So there's all indoor maps, and how the fuck are you gonna fly indoors, dude? So you can't just play one class every single game. You have to adapt. There's another class where you have a sword and a shield, and your whole thing is about healing your allies around you by putting down a banner. There's a sniper class, which is really cool. And then lastly, there's a heavy class, which is kind of the class that gets the least amount of love. And it's definitely noticeable that some of the classes got way more attention than others. The heavy class has 3 guns. That's it. There's other classes that have 7 to 8 guns.
Yeah, but they're not as heavy like these guns.
Exactly. But the thing is, like, the guns do different things, right? There's a plasma gun, there's a melta gun, and then there's a bolter. I always play the heavy in every game. Bobby knows this because the one time we ever played TF2, I played the heavy and he healed me. But what ended up happening in this game is that I quickly discovered, after playing the multiplayer for a little while, like I said before, not every single map in Space Marine 2 is conducive to every class. But when you do play a map that is perfect for your class, it is so nice. So for example, I got an achievement for getting 5 kills back to back. And as a heavy, I was playing a map before it that wasn't really made for the heavy, but then I played another map. And the map that I was playing that I did really well on had like these corridors where I can kind of lock people down and like provide suppressing fire. And compared to like these short corridors where I couldn't really like set up and like fire accurately and things like that. So the game is really dynamic PvP wise. It's not the best PvP in the world. Trust me. I'm just going to say that, but it's still fun as fuck to play with your friends. There's only 3 game modes. I don't think there's anything truly imbalanced about it. Maybe the flying is a little annoying because they can float for a while. They can kind of like stay above a doorway and then beat the shit out of you. As soon as you get in.
I think I get it. The game is great. And also, you didn't deliver any additional lore. Oh no, you did say these suits let you pick up 900 but that was fine. I thought that was a neat tidbit, so good on you for this segment. And how similar is this game to Vermintide? I'm not sure if like
not even close.
Not even close.
Not
okay,
even close.
Did not like that game. I played it with you and Leslie and Bobby.
You mentioned World War Z, and that was more of a wave survival game.
Yeah, so it's not just wave survival in this. There are aspects of the wave survival while you're playing, and it's not always the same wave survival. At one point, me and Leslie were in a circular arena, and these things are coming in, and we're having to deal with them, compared to like being on a floor and like seeing these avenues where they can come up. It's just way different as far as like how the wave survival can come in. But that's only like 1/5 the game. There's like hallway combat, there's outdoor combat, there's squad combat, there's combat later on in the game that I can't mention because I don't want to spoil shit for other people, where things start shooting back at you that are very similar to you, that deal as much damage as you do to them kind of combat. There's open battlefield combat with other like similar Space Marines and shit like that. So this game is, like I said, the combat doesn't feel repetitive.
Well, I do like the co-op aspect of it. The first Space Marine didn't have that. That was strictly single player, right?
Correct. They eventually did add multiplayer to the game, but it wasn't like PvE missions or co-op. It was just straight multiplayer.
Okay.
Well, this sounds fun. Because with Vermintide, I did feel like the combat got repetitive, and with a lot of wave survival games, I feel that way too, where I'm like, okay, I'm slashing, I'm shooting, and am I really using my brain all that much?
It's yeah, with this one it's not as much hacking and shooting. There is like, if I don't do other inputs, I will die. But it's just I don't want to say it's the best game in the world. It's not. What I will say is it's an extremely fun game. Like, it is. There's a lot of streamers playing it right now, and they're not sponsored by Games Workshop or by the studio that makes the game, and they're playing and they're like, this shit is just fun. It's solid. There aren't any game breaking bugs. There isn't any kind of exploits that makes the game trivial. It's just fun. So yeah, if you get a spare $60, pick it up. It comes out the day before this podcast releases. And if you're listening live, it comes out tomorrow. Yeah, check it out. Space Marine 2. Super fun. Probably going to at least take up 40 hours of your time.
Nice. Okay, cool. Next, we're moving down to On the Radar. So these are games that we haven't played, but that have caught our attention. And Bobby, are you feeling a bit wild? How are you feeling? What's going through your bones, dude?
That was a nice try.
This
week, I'm going to be talking about Wild Woods. So there is a promotion or sale or something on Steam. There's always something going on. But one of them is for Daedalic co-op games. And I thought, well, this is perfect because I'm always on the lookout for co-op games, specifically one that I can play with my girlfriend. We've pretty much saturated Stardew Valley. We've done everything in there. We can't really get any more out of that.
No more weeds to pick. No more carrots to plant. No more NPCs to romance. No more sludge to fight. It's over.
No. Damn.
Yeah, there's just not much left to do. And that's a tough act to follow too. So this one caught my eye because I thought this one has potential, but it's a little difficult to tell because it looks like it might be a little more focused on combat. So it's a casual co-op, I guess, action adventure game, 1 to 4 players. What you're doing is playing as cats that are defending a moving cart. So a cart moves across a map. During the daytime, you collect resources. I assume you build it up somehow. And then during the night, you have to fend off enemies, keep it safe, and keep the torch lit. And then it has boss fights too, once you reach where you're going. And you can continue to travel and get more items, but you run the risk of getting overwhelmed. But I don't know. I don't know how involved it's going to be with like having to actually fight off enemies. So I don't know how much of it is truly casual. So the things that caught my eye about this is, number one, they use the word casual quite a bit. So that's what makes me think, all right, this might be something that I could play with my girlfriend. The other thing that they emphasize is clever cooperation is key. So I didn't really see it in the screenshots or the videos, but for somehow you have to cooperate and work together to accomplish your goals here. So I don't know. It's something I'm going to be keeping an eye on, but we'll see. It may not be what I want it to be.
They kind of hit you right in the target market with the words, hey, with the SEO. They got you.
Yep.
This reminds me visually of another Daedalic published game called Unrailed, where you are frantically building track in front of a moving train and trying to fight off enemies and collect resources and keep building the track so that the train can keep going. This is like an updated version of that.
Yeah, maybe
type
it's
of
got
game.
a completely. So Unrailed has a Minecraft visual style to it. This one is more of a cartoonish one, but the same kind of angle, that top-down look. And there's, I don't know, I didn't play Unrailed, but it didn't seem like there may have been as much combat in that. That game is also part of this sale, and it's on sale for $5. So maybe check that one out too.
Yeah, I played a little bit of Unrailed. I would go back. I found it not casual, though. Did they use the casual tag? No, they don't. I found it difficult as fuck.
Yeah.
So
that seems like a stressful thing to do. Like, hey, you've got, because it's always moving forward, right? Like it pushes you to like keep up with it. And that's kind of an annoying feeling in video games when you feel like you're always treading water.
Yeah, it's anxiety inducing for sure. Wildwoods, that seems cool. Guys, on my radar, two games that I've already talked about, so I don't know if I'm doing really justice to this segment, but Memoriopolis is the minimalistic city builder. You make grand decisions and kind of see your city build itself over 2,500 years. You go through multiple ages, you make big decisions, and then you kind of see how your city deals with that. And it's kind of like a hands-off, cool idea for a grand strategy or a city builder. And then there's Sins of a Solar Empire, which is that grand strategy space RTS that's persistent, no pausing, and kind of built for these PvP engagements. So I want to play one of these games, but I don't know which one to play. And I'm hoping the spreadsheet, my budget can only handle so much, right? I'm hoping you guys can help me out here choosing a game. What do you think I should go with? Should I go with Memoriopolis or should I go with Sins?
I like Sins more.
Okay.
I was going to go the other direction here. I don't know. Because I feel like Sin's been around. Like, we all know what that is.
That is true. Maybe you should try something new.
Okay. Interesting. Bobby courting a vote with some quick debate. Yeah, so I looked at Sins, and by the way, it's at 80% or 82% on Steam, and I was hovering over the purchase button, but the thing that stopped me was some of the negative reviews, which said, yeah, this game is great, but it's basically just Sins of a Solar Empire, you know? It's just modernized UI, but other than that, same factions, same ships, same everything. So I think I come to gaming to find like new experiences these days. I'm not super into like the remasters of games or having like a graphical update for a game that I previously put a lot of time into. And so maybe Memoriopolis has a little bit of an edge there. But the other thing, Sins is multiplayer. And I want to play it multiplayer with people. Anyways, I don't think I'm coming out of it. I don't think either of you have convinced me enough. Can you give me a hard opinion?
Multiplayer is
Play Space Marine 2.
There you go.
Yeah.
Come to me.
Okay. So none of these. So fuck these
no,
games.
I legit like Sins because of the multiplayer aspect.
Well, oh, you would play multiplayer with me. That's what you're saying? Should we set a date?
No, I'm not playing. No,
should we do it?
What I'm saying is for you. No,
for me.
No, definitely not.
And so not both of us.
No, never.
No, you won't be joining me. You won't.
Maybe if you buy me the
sitting?
game. Maybe
if I buy you the game. What kind of fucking
once you have your
that?
baby and you have a couple days off of work because Canada's cool like that. And if you have a sleepy baby like I did, yeah, we can play some games together.
Okay. I have to meet a lot of criteria. Nick, what are you picking this week, or what's on the radar this week?
I mean, one thing that's already come out, but it's getting like, so WoW, when it comes out with expansions, it has like these soft releases kind of where it doesn't release everything in the expansion at once. And that's what is in the World of Warcraft War Within. This released about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. However, this is like the, I don't want to say final stage, but the main stage of the game. So on Tuesday, the game will release its raid and mythic dungeons. And these are late game PvE aspects of the game. This DLC focuses on a new race of people and a new map completely underground, essentially. There's like an overworld area that's like 1/10 the size of the underground map, which is really interesting. The whole thing focuses around this race called the Earthen, which are this people that are essentially like robotic dwarves that have been living with some sort of autonomy as well as like freedom in this area. And the Nerubians, but not the Nerubians, they're just like the same kind of people. They're like the spider slash scarab slash rhino beetle and other giant bugs adjacent to Egyptian Nerubians. Yeah, those ones, like Nubarak, like you played before. You mentioned that.
Nubarak, yeah, king of the Nerubians or something.
Yeah, he's not king anymore. He's dead. Anyways, there is a guy like him, but that race ends up getting some sort of like outside power. They're raising up. They're starting to kill the Earthen, and it's starting to kill the planet. So the whole Justice League and the Avengers have to show up of World of Warcraft and go to that place and kick everybody's ass, to include yourself, and then save the day. And so,
does this excite you? Are you going back to World of Warcraft? Yes,
I have been playing it. The story doesn't excite me at all. I literally skipped every single cutscene besides the ones that are like nicely animated. They're not the in-engine cutscenes.
The World of Warcraft TikTok, by the way, one of the best TikToks ever. I don't know how many people are behind it, but like all of them are hilarious.
It's hilarious. It's hilarious.
They do one of the ones about skipping cutscenes for this new expansion, and apparently it's important to watch. It was funny.
It's always funny. So like we'll be playing, right, and like I'll be playing with my friends. I'm like, yo, where the fuck is this character? Like, dude, they died in the second cutscene, and I'm like, I don't watch cutscenes. So like,
don't do that. I opt out of every cutscene. Yeah, exactly.
What's nice? Go ahead. I was going to mention one last thing.
What is it?
You can play as the new race almost immediately now. You just have to complete the main campaign and the little side campaign. Before, there was a long existential process that ended up being like you have to complete a bunch of different achievements and like do all, like a bunch of backflips and stuff, and then you would unlock the race. However, this new one you can play, and it's an allied race. I believe you can play it on the Horde or the Alliance.
Cool. For the small price of 115 decals, I can get into the action now with a level 70 boost, including in all the additions. Get back to the fight. Wow.
Dude, that's insane. Is that really how much it costs for you?
Yes, the Epic Edition. That's the one with the level 70 boost.
Yeah.
What's the level cap right now?
70. So what they did is they crunched everything down to 60. So when you start the expansion, you go to 60. With the no, it's I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. I misspoke. It is 80. You start off at 70 and then you get to 80. My bad.
So I joined the game and I already get to level. What are levels? What do they mean? Why is it 70? Why is it zero?
If it's your first time ever playing WoW, I would never suggest doing the skip. The reason being, never. Yeah,
you're not going to know what to do with all the buttons and abilities.
So I'm telling you right now, right?
Like even me, who hasn't played WoW in years, like I wouldn't do that, especially if I was playing a new class that I wasn't familiar with. And I'm sure all the classes have changed drastically since the last time I've played too. So yeah, even upon re-entering the game, it's not a good idea.
So why are they charging? So this is a bad idea for anyone, but because they're marketing it to me.
No, because if you play,
yeah,
if you've played the game a lot, then the leveling up another character is just a chore, and it takes a bunch of time, and people hate it. But
so I pay to avoid the chore if I've played this game before. That's the appeal.
Yes, but the other thing is you can always buy that later. So, like Bobby was saying, dude, and one of my characters, which is my main character, right? So I have 1 through not just 10, but minus sign and equal sign assigned to abilities, and then another set of abilities bound to 1 all the way through equal sign on the keyboard. That's how many abilities you have to learn how to use for just like a middle level fucking class. Like Shaman isn't the worst class in the world as far as buttons and combinations and shit go. Some classes like Warrior, you can just mush your face on the keyboard and you're fine. But
that would be mine. That's who I would pick.
You have to, like, if it's your first time ever playing the game, you have to start from like level 1 because
I can't set up a tailor shop, Nick. I can't sell clothes, swords, or anything.
I got you. Hold on. This is the new shit. So they introduced this last year, and they completely revamped the what is it called? The crafting system. They completely revamped it. The way it works now is that all of the items you make have qualities anywhere between 1 to 5. 5 being the nicest, 1 being the shittiest. However, you can get orders for things from NPCs. You can get orders from things from other players, and fulfilling these orders improve your ability and your specialization. And let's say you're a miner and you're a jewel crafter like I am. Because I become skilled at mining, I get more ore. Or when I'm refining ore, I'll get extra ore, or that's a lot of ores actually. Or I'll get
as well,
or like a seal. You get extra jewels, or you'll get just more resources in general. Other things like abstaining from using resources when you don't need to.
Yeah.
But it is just, instead of go gather these things, put them together, and then you sell thing. It doesn't work like that anymore. There's very much like a dynamic aspect of like improving your skill, getting things modified, getting things adjusted, getting gear for crafting, and using that stuff to better your crafting ability and using it and selling it like that.
So I can I can set
You
up
can
a
be a
tailor
tailor.
shop.
You can sell shit to mages and warlocks
Interesting.
and I think monks. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know what the fuck.
World of
like monks.
Warcraft, maybe making its biggest appeal to me yet.
No, don't play it, especially because you have a child on the way.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going anywhere. I'm not touching this with a 10-foot shaman pole. Or help me, God. See what I did there? Or I don't know. The ore is cracking me up. Is it just me?
Yeah.
More ore.
More.
More.
Yeah.
Okay. It's time. The game where you, listening, can make money guessing a video game sound. Guys, guess what? $55 in the pot. It's yours. If only you can guess this sound. And what sound are you guessing? If you missed it, that's pew, 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 pew. Pew, 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 pew. That's very important, okay? The timing of the pews, anyone who knows will know, okay? Pew, pew. You can email pixelshitshow@gmail.com to guess, and patrons get 2 guesses. This week, I'm going to read a guess by Smudge2522, which, guys, before I get into the guess, he gives me his real name, which is much cooler than his username. I don't know. I don't want to dox him, but like, have you ever come across someone whose username is Smudge? Usually this is opposite, right? Usually it's like Sniper Missile is my gamer tag, or Banana Bong Hit, and my real name is like, Charles Henry the Fourth. It's like something boring. But his real name is so exciting, and then his username is Smudge2522. That cracked me up. Did you guys see the username I sent over? I sent it in DM, but.
Yeah,
I did not.
You didn't?
I did not. Let me see. Hold on. Is it directly to me or directly in the group chat?
It's in a group chat. But anyways, I don't want to I don't know how much, but if I had this name, that would be my username. There would be no smudging here. His guess is Total Annihilation, a 1997 game. I like how he put the year in parenthesis. He's paying attention. Commander Gun. Okay. That's kind of Total Annihilation, that RTS. Wasn't that an RTS that came around? What are you guys feeling about this guess?
I don't think it's right.
No?
I wouldn't know.
You wouldn't know? You don't know the timing of the pews, Bobby? Well,
that is correct, shorty.
Shoddy. It's not correct. I'm sorry. But good guess, Smudge, and thank you for telling me your real name and this little fun interaction we had. Thank you for the guess. And that means next week there's going to be $60 in the pot, guys. We're getting up there. And I did long ago when I planned out this segment. At 10 guesses, I'm going to extend the length of the sound, give you guys a fighting chance, because I feel like you're swimming in the water, you're begging for a life jacket, and I'm just standing up there laughing and yelling at you, and I'm not really giving you guys any hope. Another thing that can give you hope is Bobby, Emilio, and Nick every week have a chance to unlock another hint. And this week, they're going to play a fun game of rock, paper, scissors, but the winner of the hint has to be the person who has the oldest Discord profile, the person who joined Discord first. No changing screens, Nicholas. I see you side-eyeing and then the lighting change on your monitor. Don't check. But you guys are going to play a game of rock, paper, scissors, and I guess it's completely random. If the right one wins, you unlock the hint, and if the wrong person wins, you lose the hint. But maybe you can make an educated guess right now. Who do you think joined Discord first?
Damn, I'm gonna say me.
Why?
Because it was in the League of Legends. So when Comcast was having a shitty time with their services in North America, there was a big swing to go to a different service that wasn't Skype or TeamSpeak, and in the League of Legends community, Discord was like it like kind of like popped up a little bit in there, and then it kind of spread around, and we joined pretty quick.
Okay. And Bobby, do you think you might have joined Discord earlier, back in the 90s, whenever you discovered it?
I'm trying to think of how long Discord was out before I joined it. I feel like I jumped on it pretty quickly.
Neck and neck.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be close. I feel like everybody joined it like right at the same time. So I don't know.
Not you guys, not on the same day, not on the same year. Anyways, now you're going head to head in a game of rock, paper, scissors. Because this is primarily an audio form, you guys have to, orate your decision if you could, not just do the rock, paper, scissors. So to start off, you both are going to say rock, paper, scissors, and then without any hesitation, without any cheating of any kind, looking at what the other person might be the next syllable on their lips, you're just going to say your decision. So lock it in now, okay? Is it rock? Is it paper? Is it scissors? Do you got it? Nod. Yep. Okay. Bobby, do you have it? Okay, play. Say it together. Let's go.
Rock.
Ready?
Oh.
3, 2, 1. Rock, paper, scissors.
Oh, I was just saying rock. We have to say rock, paper, scissors. All right.
I thought maybe I was confusing. I can be confusing sometimes, but both say rock, paper, scissors, and then after you say that, no hesitation, just what you're going with. Okay. I don't know. I think we might know what Bobby's going with. I don't know for sure.
Maybe I'll switch it up. I don't know. You don't know. Maybe I changed my mind. This is all just head games. All right. Rock, paper, scissors,
paper.
Rock. Okay.
Wow. Nick wins. And does that mean that Nick has unlocked the hint? Has he done it? Well, Nick, you joined Discord June 13th, 2016. And Bobby, you joined Discord September 19th, 2015.
Yeah,
the League of
Legends. 15. Yeah. I was early, dude. I know. I knew I joined it in 2015.
He was on Discord when they were still calling it Wyvern or whatever the hell they used to call this service.
No way. Wow, props. Big props.
He's so old. I told you, the 90s. And that wasn't an exaggeration. It might have been the 80s. Who knows? Anyways, no hint unlocked this week again. So you guys are still stuck with mech and 90s as the hints. Please send in your guesses. pixelshitshow@gmail.com. Win that $60. Take it off our hands. I can't wait to give it away. And Bobby, what do we got for listener questions?
All right, we've got a few listener questions. Some of these from last week, too. So we kept it pretty Star Wars focused last week. So if we missed yours, we apologize. First one's coming from J. Beck Quest. Which grand strategy empire builder game has the most depth? For some context, I'm a huge fan of Crusader Kings 3 and how much diplomatic freedom the player has, but some of the management options are limited. I also really enjoy Manor Lords, but find it lacking in content in its current state.
Yeah, Manor Lords is an interesting one. I wouldn't, like me personally, wouldn't associate that with when I think about a grand strategy, I think about nation building. I think about multiple sessions over, weeks or maybe even months. And then finally you have the stamp of approval at the end. The Paradox games are a little bit more in depth for strategic decisions, in my opinion, compared to the Total War games, which are more about combat. And there's strategic depth in the combat too, but you might not be there for the combat if you're looking for strategic depth of the game. So Europa to me is something with all the strategic depth you would ever want in a grand strategy game. Victoria 3 is a little had a bit of a problem with polish and the mechanics getting just right. That's like the 18th century simulator, taking your nation from 1827 to World War II. And that can be really fun, but if you're looking for depth, I don't think you can beat Europa. It has so many expansions. Any nation in the whole world from medieval to 1912, I think it ends. Someone would have to correct me on there, but I mean, we're talking about a game that takes a couple months to complete, right? If you play it once or twice a week for 4 to 5 hours, you have to really sink in a lot of time. And at the end, what's funny about these games is there's no cool splash screen. There's no any cinematic. At the end, it's just this is where you are now. You're fourth in the world at your nation. This is all the things you've done, and congrats. Do you want to start another game? It's a bit lackluster in the end because it's not about the end. Spoiler alert, it's about the journey, and those games are super fun. So yeah, that's what I would recommend. Europa.
All right.
I'm not the biggest grand strategy authority in the world. I'm gonna say the only one that I have played and that I love the most is obviously Total War. It's not the most in depth, like you said. It's really just about combat, and then the combat has depth to it. But I don't play like Europa. I don't play 19 whatever the fuck it's called. I can't remember what it's called. I just don't play those games. Me Monkey Smash. So I usually don't play those games.
Got it.
So I'm guessing our discussion last week didn't sell him on Rebellion.
Star Wars Rebellion? Yeah.
No.
Still a great grand strategy game, honestly, but yeah. And actually, now that I think about it, I haven't played... the cool thing about Rebellion, Bobby, is those like quests that you go on with your characters, and I can't really think about another grand strategy game that has it, that's so character driven in that way. Like Crusader Kings 3 obviously is completely character driven. You play a character, but yeah, something about those special quests you could do and unlock portions of the game felt like you were opening like a secret vault or something in this grand strategy game. Yeah.
All right, we've got 2 questions from Zap. What's a game genre that other people like that you think is trash?
Grand strategy games. There you go. I'm kidding. They're not trash. I'm
offended. I'm very offended.
I'm just gonna go with all mobile games. I don't even think those are real games for the most part.
Cop-out answer. Every genre is special and unique in its own way and finds different sort of people that like a different sort of game, and that's beautiful. Saying that, I do think the idle games where you click one button 1,000 times and then you unlock to the next factory, which you also click 1,000 times and then you unlock to the third purple factory because it's rare, and you click that, and then it unlocks another segment where actually now your factories are on the moon, and now you're clicking the moon factory and it's rainbow colored, and then you click it enough times and it gets a soft glow and the rainbow starts shooting out, and then when you complete that planet, then you have a factory that's on a galactic scale. I could care less about those, basically.
I definitely agree. You know what? I am actually going to steal your answer. I hate that shit so much.
All right. Next question from Zap. What's your proudest gaming achievement? If you look on our social media, I can't remember which one, but I'm talking about the achievement that I got in Deep Rock Galactic, where you ride a bug and kill a bunch of, or you ride the trawler and then you kill a bunch of bugs. I don't know. That was a nice little story there. And I don't really hunt achievements, but that one was special.
I one podcast episode a while ago, or maybe it was a private discussion I was having, I can't remember, but Bobby was like, if you're playing games to get the achievements, I think maybe your goals are misaligned with, like, you know, what we enjoy about games. Like, you should maybe be playing the game for the game. And then the next game I played with Bobby, he's like, oh my God, we have to get this Deep Rock Galactic achievement. I was like, oh, out the window when it comes to Deep Rock Galactic, is it, Bobby?
When you have 900 hours in a game, then you can go for achievements.
Okay, do as I say, not as I do, or have 900 hours before you do as I say. I get it. Okay. My proudest achievement is, I've told the story before, but in Insurgency Sandstorm, if you knife someone, which is really hard to do, you get an achievement, and it was the last achievement I have had to unlock in that game. So I went behind enemy lines, and behind enemy lines, your guns don't work in Insurgency Sandstorm, so you can't like sneak behind someone's spawn and like spawn kill them all. Like your gun just locks up. And I voice chatted to a guy who could have killed me at point blank, which most times people do. And I said, hey man, can you just walk forward a little bit and I'll knife you to get the achievement? And he's like, yeah, that'd be awesome. And then maybe I'll go to your spawn and you could do that for me because I don't have. And I'm like, yeah, that works. That's cool. So we traded. And not only was it my proudest achievement because of the rarity and the prestige, but because of the camaraderie that I found in Insurgency Sandstorm, which most of the time it's just people shouting racial slurs. Not gonna lie, just at the top of their lungs. That's
100%. 100%.
Yeah,
That's Insurgency Sandstorm.
Yeah, that's mine. How about you, Nick?
For me, it's gonna be I don't want to say it's just one, but beating every single faction on very hard or legendary difficulty on Total War Warhammer 2. I bought that game, and at the time I wasn't like too sure about it, and then I fell in love with it, and then I was like, I literally want to play every faction, and so I did, and then I ended up playing it on the hardest difficulties, and really proud of it because the whole time I was having fun. There's maybe 1 or 2 times out of like the 12 factions that I felt it was a little boring, and that was only for a small amount of time. The whole time I was having fun, so I'm proud of doing that.
Sweet.
All right, next question from Pyronical. Have you ever been approached by any sponsors?
Yeah, the mushroom
Raid
people?
Shadow Legends.
Raid Shadow Legends. Right after Bobby's like, I'm not so sure about mobile games. DLG podcast brought to you by Raid Shadow Legends. Get your level 80 chest purple now by spending $80 of your grandma's credit card. That's Digital Logic /Raid Legends. We've been approached by the Mushroom Man a couple times. What are they called? Neurotropics? Nootropics. They're good for your neurons or something.
I don't know. That's like kind of a pseudoscience, like stuff that's supposed to be like better for your brain, like vitamins that are supposed to make you smarter or something.
Yeah. So the mushroom people have reached out. We've had Emilio's salsa. That wasn't a reach out. That was just a sponsor. We've had a couple people reach out, but it always feels like it's either like crypto or like so gimmicky or like it's gaming adjacent. It's like technology focused, and I also don't think they understand the reach of our like I think it's just like a blanket message. I'm trying to say no. I don't think, other than the Mushroom Man, the mushroom people, I don't think we've been seriously approached by anyone.
Yeah, no, we don't get that too often, and we wouldn't know what to do with it.
Too many bad words.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely not.
We're not like super marketable here.
Yeah.
No.
Next question
But
from
Raid
Crickets.
Shadow Legends. Sorry, if you're out there, I'm down. If you pay us enough money, we can
That
turn
mobile
Bobby
money.
around. Yeah, the mobile money. Yeah. Sorry, Bobby.
All right. Next question from Cricket Soldier. What kind of backstory should I know if Space Marine 2 is my first Warhammer game, or can I get involved in the story without prior knowledge?
You do need a prior knowledge if you want to get super deep into the game's story. If not, you can play completely unknown, being like, this is just fun smashing giant bugs. But no, if you really want to learn something, and you don't have that much time, or you do have a lot of time, I have 3 different videos that you can watch depending on how serious you are. There's a very commercialized version of it by GameSpot. I'm not shitting on GameSpot, but they kind of just have a format of writing things, and they're very repetitive in that kind of manner within all their videos. It's titled Essential Lore You Need to Know Before You Play Space Marine 2, and this is in order of views. It's got 194k views. There's another one by a new what is it called, YouTuber who's gotten into the game about like 6 months ago, a year ago. His name's Crackduck. And his video is called Everything You Need to Know Before Space Marine 2, Warhammer 40k lore. He draws little drawings for each video, and he hand draws them, and they're hilarious. That's 15 minutes as well. And then there's like the granddaddy of all fucking lore makers for Warhammer. His name's Luton09. He's like the guy who reads the fucking thrown away books for like Warhammer lore. It's called Space Marine 2 Titus Lore Deep Dive, and that's an hour and 8 minutes long. Those will all get you up to speed if you even just watch one of them. They all kind of cover the same topics.
But Nick, Cricket Soldier didn't ask to hear from these prestigious and well-articulated YouTubers. He has to hear from you. He said, Nick,
I'm
what
not
kind of
well-articulated.
backstory?
I'm just kidding.
What kind of backstory should I know? He wants it from you, dude, straight from the horse's mouth.
Okay. Spoilers for the tutorial, I guess. Hey, Vivian. Nice face paint. Sorry, my daughter just walked in and she's got wolf face paint on.
Back from the zoo. That's awesome.
Back from the zoo. She's got matcha tea as well. That's
nice.
what's up. Gotta go with mommy. I'll be right there, okay? I love you. what do you call it? The last, the thing, okay, because you want me to answer it, I won't go too long because once again, I could talk about this for an hour. Originally, this character wasn't canon. Now he is canon after the situation that's happened in Space Marine 2. The character you're playing, his name is Titus. He's a Space Marine, which is a genetically altered human to the point where they have now 19 added organs in their body. They can spit acid, change the color of their skin. They can breathe on. They can pretty much live without oxygen for a long period of time. They can go into like a hypersleep. They have 2 hearts.
Where's
can
the second
survive.
heart? Are they right next to each other?
They're like kind of stacked, like this. Anyways, like one's in the normal area, and like one's a little lower to the left and behind it.
Okay.
Anyways, they have blood that almost instantly coagulates. They're just insane killing machines. What's funny is they die in droves against other enemies in the lore, and that's supposed to be kind of like the whole thing about it. It's like these super badasses die all the time. Anyways, so Titus is one of these guys. He went to a planet full of orcs, and they were assigned to kind of like take some key aspects of that planet in the first game. Defeated a bunch of orcs, and with all the shit that was going on, it attracted some chaos forces that were interested in a relic that was there as well. You fight the chaos forces. Your boss, essentially, who's also a Space Marine, gets corrupted by chaos, and then you got to kill him. And then the Inquisition, which is like the Spanish Inquisition, but in space and 40,000 years later, and just as racist and crazy, they try you for betrayal, essentially, and instead of killing you, they send you something to what is known as the Death Watch. And the Death Watch is a group of these guys like you that have either dishonored themselves or they are extremely proficient at what they do, and they're essentially sent on suicide missions. Some of these guys are beloved, some of these guys are hated. And so in Space Marine 2 now, and this is just prologue shit, you pretty much die. And you are brought back to life in the new form of Space Marine, and they're known as the Primaris Space Marines.
3
and
hearts.
These are even
4 hearts.
Not 3 hearts.
No.
No. 11. No, I'm just kidding. They are even newer than and more insane than the older Space Marines. Not by like a degree of like 1,000. They're just fresh and shiny and cool. Anyways, and being a firstborn Space Marine, they don't get treated very nicely by the Primaris Marines. And so the dichotomy of being upgraded versus being shit on by the people that work under you is really interesting as far as the lore goes. But that's all I'll talk about for right now, because I can talk about this all day.
Right from the horse's mouth. We all enjoyed it. I enjoyed the amount of hearts. In my view, you lose one of those 2 and you got problems, right? Like,
no, you lose one of the 2 and then the other one goes into overdrive because of a chemical in your body.
Oh, I should have thought about that.
And you can survive without that heart for like weeks.
Nice. Okay, cool. All right, Bobby.
All right. We've got a few questions from Warconius here. First one's directed at Nick. He asks, did you see the previews of Snake Eater Delta, and are you excited? Do you think we can get Emilio to play through one of the best Cold War espionage stories ever made?
We can't get Emilio to play through fucking...
Dude, Emilio doesn't play games. It's a fucking lie. He doesn't play video games. I swear to God. If he does, he'll play like Remnant 2 with like JP Diddy for like 8 hours on a random Saturday, and that's it. That's the only thing he'll talk about in detail, really.
I think we can, though, if we give him enough positive encouragement. I think
if we give him enough positive encouragement, and he doesn't work anymore, and he doesn't have people that's always nagging him. Yeah, sure, why not? You can get him to fucking play games. All right, I'll respond to this pretty concisely. Nick, did you see the previews of Snake Eater Delta? Yes, I did. I saw an extended preview as well. And
take that.
The game looks amazing. But what I will say that brings me some confidence is there's a guy, I believe he actually works for GameSpot, hilariously, or Game Informer, and he got an extended look and a back alley look at the game. I know. I said one of the 2. Anyways, he got an extended look, and he's like a huge Metal Gear Solid file. Like, he's perfected every single game. He's interviewed Hideo Kojima. He's like been to the offices, like, and everything. He says that the way that the game is remade doesn't take anything away from the old game. It does modify some things for the modern times, such as controls and some of the healing aspects, but the game is pretty much the same. What I will say is that I'm excited for some of the new cutscenes and voice lines that they've added, and some of the stuff that David Hayter himself, the original Solid Snake, has re-recorded is also part of the project. There's been some stuff that's modified from the storyline to kind of update and make things more accurate, but the game still praises Hideo Kojima. Like his name is still all over the fucking game apparently, even though he doesn't work for Konami anymore. I don't think we can get Emilio to play it. Maybe if I pay him, or maybe if I fly him out to Texas for like 2 weeks as like a work trip or something and pay him, but he won't play this game.
I think he just wants positive reinforcement from us. I think if every day we woke up sending him a good morning text, hey, good morning, beautiful, have you played this game? I think he would do it eventually. It would take 2 or 3 days.
Yeah,
I don't know about that.
No?
If we texted him every day for 2 or 3 days, all of us, hey, play this game.
Hey, beautiful.
He
we
would
have to
not
give
do
it.
that.
Hey, handsome. Like we'd have to say something. Hey, big arms. You know, got to throw a compliment in there.
Okay. I don't think he really plays these Metal Gear Solid games.
Call him Snake. Solid Duty.
And where did they come up with Solid Snake? I mean, like they didn't think that was a problem.
It's Solidus from that one movie with Kurt Russell. It's the whole thing. It's the poster and everything looks like the movie as well. It's kind of, I don't know. Once again, I don't want to. We're running pretty long, so
Next,
I don't want to.
We got to do it. Vivian is waiting for her papa. Let's.
All right.
She is waiting for her papa.
Okay, 2 more questions from Orconius. Kudos on the last episode. Really enjoyed it. Awesome shout out for Republic Commando. That game was amazing. Sniper, give Jedi Fallen Order a shot. It's good Star Wars story and really solid gameplay. In the spirit of the last episode, would you guys be interested in a deep dive into topics like Half-Life, Baldur's Gate 3, or even Lord of the Rings in video games?
I'm down. Yes. I would love to do episodes that are more themed and around our experience playing games that aren't necessarily week to week, but like, you know, of our whole experience and lives. I think we all have so much to draw on that we rarely get to like deploy in that way. So yeah, I'd be down.
I think what would be nice, at least for my idea for this, I guess, is that for some of the weeks that we may not want to do a podcast, or for some of the weeks that we may want to take a break or somebody's missing, I think if there's, because not all of us don't play the same games. Also, all of us don't play the same games for the same amount of time. I.e., me and Baldur's Gate, I have like over 100 hours in it. Bobby has like 2. It's just, you can't have
really
an
calling me
in-depth
out there,
discussion.
dude. You can.
That's not the real stat. I don't know what it is.
Embarrassing, Bob.
That's not the case.
I'm just joking.
But what I am saying is that for people to really have a conversation like they did the last episode, you obviously have to have a good amount of time in it, right? You want to talk about lore, you want to talk about the story, you want to talk about mechanics and things like that. I think what would be a good idea is kind of what we do for the Magic the Gathering podcast, where it's about one topic the whole time. And if we don't want to, like I said, if we want to take a break or someone is missing, we can put out that episode that could be like an hour, maybe 45 minutes, and that could be like a subsequent episode. Because it's not going to be fun if me, you, and Bobby and Emilio are talking about a game that me, you, and Bobby played, and Emilio just has nothing to say there. He's just
we
there.
just have to expand the scope. It would have to be like Larian games, you know, because they're all pretty similar. And when me and Bobby chatted, it was just about all Star Wars games, so that could be,
that's true,
broaden the net. That's mine. But anyways, Bobby, would you be down to do another of these sort of episodes? Did you have fun?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had a good time doing it, and I think I think there's things we could do, maybe not exactly like that, because there's only so many IPs you can do that with. I mean, Warhammer games, they've got a pretty deep bench there, but not every franchise is like that. So There might be other ways we could do this or slightly alter the format that would allow us to stay on one general topic, but have more of a conversation. But in general, I like that. That's how we did movies on the DL. If anyone listened to that years ago when we did that movie podcast, we had one movie that we watched. I loved it. And we talked about it. And then we'd spend a little bit of time talking about just whatever we had watched that week. And I always like that format because when everybody does the same thing, there's more of a conversation.
Yeah. How did the intro music to movie? Yeah,
it was like a ragtime.
Yeah.
Ragtime song. Yeah.
That was good. You can find those on our Patreon. I believe every episode's up there.
Yep. Good times. Last question. Concord, a PvP hero shooter, came and went. Refunds were given and servers were shut down only after 2 weeks. Big developers and publishers have made sizable cuts to staff and terminated lots of projects. What do you think is next for AAA development? Will it mirror the movie industry, more smaller investments with bigger AAA games reserved to sequels and licensed IPs?
How do I make this not a shitting on fest for Concord? I think you're kind of right where we're going to see a lot more individual games indie games take up the spotlight between these huge releases like, I don't know, Metal Gear Solid or a Space Marine 2 or a Baldur's Gate or a fucking Skyrim, like any of those. We're just going to see a lot of games like Among Us, Lethal Company, things like that fill the way before those happen because nobody wants to take a huge dive. I also think we're going to see the rise and possibly fall of AI in development of video games to the point where we start seeing games that are more soulless, like Concord, because that's the only thing I can kind of describe the game as soulless.
You played it, Nick?
Feels. I ended up playing it a smidge, like literally 20 minutes, and I'm like, this is awful.
Oh, you didn't like it?
I did not like it. The character design just literally seems was like you were like, yes, get me the most popular characters in pop culture media and give me shitty knockoffs and then make it so that their lines were written by AI. That's what it seemed like.
Wow. I think I have a slightly different opinion. I never played Concord, so and by the way, not an industry analyst. This is my one man's humble opinion here, okay? But what I saw is a lot of people saying, yeah, Concord is a decent game, but the specific genre it's in, live service combat genre, like that is so oversaturated right now. And it is also like chasing the dragon's tail, I think, for some bigger publishers and investors. They're like, oh, we want a live service game that's has super high player counts for ad infinity time, and we're going to make so much money. And it's like, dude, League of Legends, like the space is filled. Like live service titles are beloved, and there are so many that are currently running that it's like the chances that you make the next best thing are so low, you know? Even Helldivers had this huge best game ever. Everyone's playing it. And not saying it's not a success by any stretch of the imagination. Like still lots of people are playing the game, but like it has fallen off such a huge amount from launch, and a lot of live service titles have that same fate. It's not sustained player counts that maybe the investors or the big publishers see for decades, you know, which is what they might be hoping for. So to answer the question, I think that trend in AAA development will maybe come to a close or a halt as people start realizing this. And then, you know, games like Star Wars Outlaws or these single player titles that are decent and have depth to it will once again shine. The age of the live service is over. The beginning of, I don't know what else, all the other types of games have begun when it comes to AAA development, I think.
I don't know. I don't think AAA is going to be going anywhere or changing much in the near future. These games come and they go and they fail and some succeed, and it's just, I don't know if it really affects the industry all that much, but what do I know? I don't know. I don't play AAA games, so like I have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm way too busy playing stupid indie games that nobody knows about. Like this week, I'll probably be checking out Mega Loot. which is which is a dungeon crawler game that I read the reviews. It's like $10. It's on Steam. It's a dungeon crawler game, kind of like some of the ones I've enjoyed in the past, like oh God, I can't remember the name of that one now. But anyway, you go through a dungeon, you fight enemies. It's kind of like not like it's like an RPG, but grid-based, like a grid-based RPG. And a lot of the reviews, people were saying it's a great game, but it's just way too short. And I'm like, perfect. That's what I'm going to play.
Sign me up. You sold me on your negative review. That's great. Yeah. I'm going to be playing Memoriopolis or Sins. More so leaning to the Memoriopolis part because I don't think I can bag Nick in a multiplayer game. For some reason, the minute I say, hey, Nick, let's play a game together, he just looks at me like I'm sort of alien. He's like, actually...
I will not play a 4X game with you unless it's the new Civ when that comes out.
Really? Goddamn, looks like I'm getting it day one, baby. Let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah, so probably Memoriopolis next week for me.
All right, Nick.
How about you, Nicholas?
More WoW, more Space Marine 2, and hopefully I don't get in trouble for playing with other people. Actually, a curveball for the game I'll be playing next week. Have you guys heard about this new kind of Among Us Office game that's been going around that people have been talking about?
So one of our listeners, I'm sorry, I should have thanked him. Burn Division bought me a copy on Steam. So
what is it called?
It's like Office.
It's called Dale and Dawson. Oh, sorry. I believe it's called Dale and Dawson, I think. Sorry, Dale and Dawson Stationery Supplies. It's an Among Us kind of, I don't want to say clone because it's doing so well on its own, right? You complete tasks around the office, like filling out reports and doing all this other shit. There's 3 teams. There's a manager, there is the specialist, and then there's the slackers. Each team can win in their own kind of way. And it's all about sabotaging the other team. And what's nice is it's kind of like an Among Us meet in like a team form, because nobody kind of knows what people are until you tell them in secret and stuff like that. Like, hey, go to the bathroom and I'll tell you. What's interesting about it is that it's just really funny. And we're going to be playing, I think, with like 14 people. So we're really excited.
Oh, is there swipes for me, Nicholas?
If you would like an invite, you definitely can come.
I saw a clip of Northern Lion playing this. By the way, Northern Lion, maybe the most hilarious streamer of all time. I got in like a hole of just looking at his clips, and is he never not funny? But basically, they're the managers, and they got like locked in this room, and they have to view the slackers listening to loud music and like drinking beer at work, which like tips the scale in their favor. And that to me, I was like, okay, I'll play this game. It looks funny as shit.
Me and my buddy watched a bunch of it last night, and we're like, we have to play this. It's so funny looking.
Yeah. Okay, that's fun. Bobby, can we get you in the office supply shop?
I don't know, maybe. I never really played Among Us. I mean, how much is this game? $7.99.
$8.
Right.
We got him. Got him on the price point.
I guess I'd check it out.
Cool. Okay. I guess maybe that's a show, right? Speaking
Sounds
for good. Nick, Bobby, and myself, Office Supply, titties, goodbye.